Welcome back everyone. Today we are going to try to make some gallium-3 sulfate. For this, gallium, 96% sulfuric acid and distilled water are needed. A large excess of gallium is used to ensure all of the sulfuric acid is used up. We then start off by adding the chunk of gallium to a small beaker. The chunk of gallium is followed by a small amount of concentrated sulfuric acid. A small amount of distilled water was dumped into the beaker. You can see that a small amount of hydrogen is produced straight from the beginning. To speed up the reaction, the beaker was put on top of a hot plate and it was allowed to boil for 1 hour. To limit the evaporation of distilled water, a watch glass was placed on top of the beaker. The production of hydrogen gas increased significantly. After an hour of boiling, we were left with this. A small droplet of gallium contained within a white powder which is still wet with sulfuric acid. The beaker was heated again. Because we didn't want any leftover sulfuric acid, distilled water and another chunk of gallium to increase the surface area were added. This was allowed to boil for another half an hour. Afterwards, the solution was poured into another beaker, leaving gallium behind. It was rinsed 1 time using distilled water. You can see that the gallium that was left behind looks nice and shiny. The leftover clean gallium was transferred to a storage bottle. We didn't want a solution of gallium sulfate, but dry gallium sulfate powder. Therefore, the beaker was placed into a dish containing anhydrous calcium chloride as a desiccant. All of this stuff was placed into a vacuum chamber, a vacuum was pulled, and the beaker was left to stand overnight. The gallium sulfate solution could also be dried using a desiccator bag. But I'm too lazy to wait, therefore we put it into a vacuum chamber. A vacuum will speed up the drying process by a lot. The next day, we flushed the vacuum chamber back with air. No, that unfortunately doesn't look perfectly dry to me. Let's take out the beaker, stir it through, and then we will put it just back into the vacuum chamber for another day. Two days later, the gallium sulfate seemed to be dry. Therefore, the vacuum chamber was flushed back with air. Oh. And that is what happens when you don't let the air in slowly. I hope our gallium sulfate wasn't messed up too much, but we will see. Using a pair of pliers, we removed the calcium chloride chunks that made it into our beaker. After removing all chunks of calcium chloride, the gallium sulfate was transferred to a properly labeled storage bottle. And there you have it. 3.7 grams of gallium-3 sulfate. Have a look at it from close up. It seems to be a white powder. And if you liked today's video, make sure to drop me one of these and consider subscribing to my channel for more stuff like this in the future. I wish all of you a nice day. Until next time. Bye.